What is up, everyone? So today I will be going and showing you my entire DVD and Blu-ray collection because I actually have both DVDs and Blu-rays. I have a lot more DVDs than I have Blu-rays, but I just am a movie enthusiast, and so this is where I keep my movies. So I'm going to go into detail because I wanted to share with you. I wanted to do my own DVD/Blu-ray collection video. Plus, one of my viewers wanted to see it, so one of my viewers wanted to see it. I wanted to make it, so it's a win-win. So I can't wait to show you the movies I have on the shelf. So without any further ado, let's get started. The Amazing Spider-Man. I honestly don't know as to how I feel about this movie, which is kind of a problem considering I'm planning on reviewing it soon. So I might want to watch it again a couple of times so I can collect my thoughts. At the moment, I will just say I think it's okay. But I honestly don't completely know how I feel about it because I know it's a very divisive movie. So I will review it. I will watch it again in the future so I can give my thoughts on whether or not I think it's good because I honestly don't know at the moment. The Amazing Spider-Man 2. This movie I actually think is very underrated. Unlike the first one, I do have more clear thoughts as to how I feel about this one. This one gets a lot of hate, but I personally enjoy The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I'm aware there are problems, and I acknowledge there's problems. Some pretty major problems, but I don't really think, really guys, the worst movie of 2014, are you serious? Worse than movies like Age of Extinction. This movie, people are way too harsh on this movie. Yes, there's problems, but I don't think the problems are that acknowledgeable. Even when I first saw this movie in theaters, this is the first Spider-Man movie I ever saw in the cinemas, and I had a blast watching this movie in theaters, and I loved this movie when it first came out. Even though I had a blast, I did still see a couple of problems when I first saw it in theaters. I don't think it's that bad, though. I honestly think it's underrated. Yes, it has problems, but really, worst movie 2014, The Avengers. I don't have the sequel because I think that one's overrated, but this one I definitely enjoyed. I have problems with this one. I don't think it's as good. I don't think it's the masterpiece that everyone's calling it, but it's definitely a fun, entertaining superhero movies, and I feel like this was one of the last superheroes made before every superhero movie started going downhill and everything became obsessed with dark and gritty. This is one of the most recent, fun, entertaining, upbeat superhero movies. Great Scott! Back to the Future! Anyone in their right mind, any movie enthusiast in their right mind would have this movie. And of course, it's the entire trilogy set. So it's got Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, the Back to the Future trilogy. Excellent movies. Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd are iconic actors, mainly because of this movie. And so if you're a movie enthusiast, Back to the Future is a must-own. Fantastic movies. Just just listening to the score, or looking at a DeLorean, or just thinking about Michael J. Fox or anything just immediately puts me in the mood for marathoning this movie. This is actually the only movie series I've actually properly marathon, sit down, watch it, put the disc in, then watch it, and then immediately put the second disc in, then immediately put the third disc in, all in a row without stopping, and only pausing every now and then to take bathroom breaks or snack breaks or something. This is the first movie series I've ever properly marathoned. I was close to marathoning Lord of the Rings, but this is the first proper marathon I've ever had. And it's a good movie to start marathoning on because it's a rather short marathon. It's only about 6 to 7 hours long, so it's a rather short marathon. So, excellent movies. Cars. Not Pixar's best movie, but definitely one of Pixar's most underrated movies, in my opinion. I will agree that Cars 2 is a bit iffy, but even then, I still think Cars 2 is underrated, although I don't own Cars 2, I just own this one. But I honestly really enjoy this movie, and it's actually one of my favorite childhood movies, because when I was younger, this actually was my favorite movie of all time. And I mean my favorite movie I was obsessed with this movie when I was younger. I had loads of Light McQueen and Cars merchandise. I was just in love with this movie. I was in pieces with this movie. I just loved it to death. I still think it's an underrated movie, and I do enjoy this movie, and it's just nostalgic for me because this was my favorite movie of all time at one point. So, very underrated movie, so it's not that bad. Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, a movie that I honestly enjoy. Like, the idea is very creative and very, well, just creative, and I kind of wish there were more movies like it. The sequel, yeah, the sequel was iffy. But I definitely enjoyed this movie. Like, the first one was very good. It was funny, and it's just a cute movie. It's cute. I like it. It's a good movie. Coraline. Love this movie. One of my favorites, honestly. It's not my favorite movie of all time, but it would definitely make it to the list if I made a list video. So, fantastic movie. The stop motion, like the amount of effort, blood, sweat, and tears gone into this movie, it's ridiculous. Like the amount of effort, like there's a lot of tiny little touches that I don't even notice sometimes. Like if there's someone that's cooking on a stove, they would actually animate like bubbles on the frying pan, like plastic bubbles to represent it boiling or steam coming out of it or something like that. The amount of effort and amount of tiny little details are such tiny details that no one would have complained about it if they didn't bother to use it in the film. No one would have complained, and yet it's a very, very gorgeous movie because of it. Not only that, but it's a very, very interesting, very different, very creative premise in my opinion, and that's really the best word to describe this movie. Creative. And so I'm not really a fan of movies in this genre. Like, I don't like movies like Nightmare Before Christmas. If there's one movie in this genre I do love, it's Coraline. Love this movie. I actually plan on reviewing this movie in the near future because I love this movie. Cosentino. You probably don't know about this guy if you live outside of Australia. Cosentino is an Australian magician, and he does lots of really mind-blowing tricks. Like, he does some street magic. But by far, the thing that is mind-blowing is the fact that he does some of the most death-defying escapes I've ever seen in my life. Like, some of the things he did are very crazy. Like, he does a lot of stuff that he almost kills himself doing, and yet he continues to do it. And the sad thing is, I tell you to check him out on YouTube, but there are not actually that many videos of him on YouTube, so he's pretty hard to find. Imagine what Tom Cruise does in his movies, and now imagine that being much more dangerous, because like when Tom Cruise, like, yeah, he climbed the Burj Khalifa, but he had harnesses and ropes attached to him. In this stuff, like, Cosentino just has done some of the most mind-blowing stuff I've ever seen him do. The entire Del Toro Quest collection, English dub. This is the only anime or manga you will ever see in this video, and one of 2 TV shows in this video. But I actually enjoy this show because I think it's a very interesting idea. And it's actually, I actually read the books first. Like, I have the book series right here. This is all 8 books in one big book. And I actually followed these 2 at the same time. Like, I read the books, I read a bit of the books, I read a few chapters, and then I watched a bit of the show. I read a bit more of the book, then I watched a bit more of the show. I'm not much of a book reader. I don't read very much, but this TV show kept me going with the books. I read the books because I wanted to get through the show. And I enjoy the show, and I enjoy watching it from time to time. I might actually watch some of the episodes again, actually, now that I think about it. It's a good show. The sad thing is that no one really talks about this one, though. Like, there's a lot of other anime people are always talking about, but no one talks about this one. But it's underrated. It's the only anime I've ever seen. How to Train Your Dragon bundled with The Legend of the Bone Apple Dragon. Great DreamWorks movie. One of DreamWorks' best, in my opinion. I don't have the sequel yet again, but this is definitely a good movie. I really enjoyed the first How to Train Your Dragon movie well, it's just a good movie. Hotel Transylvania. Funny story, when I first saw the trailer for this movie, when I first found out about it, back when it first came out, I hated the idea of it. Like, my family wanted to go to the cinemas to see the movie, but I refused to see it because I felt like the story was ripping off Monsters, Inc. And while there's 1 or 2 similarities about it, they are overall different movies. Not Adam Sandler's best movie, but it's a fun movie. It's entertaining. It's much better than the sequel, I'll tell you that, because sequel was very disappointing for me. I almost think I should have made it an honorable mention on my worst movies of 2015 video. I don't think the sequel is awful, but it's a lot inferior to this movie. This movie's funny, it's enjoyable, it's a nice feel-good movie, and I watch it from time to time, but the sequel is The very first Ice Age, the only one worth owning. So believe it or not, there once was a time where Ice Age movies didn't suck. This is actually the first one, and it's the only good one, in my opinion. In fact, this is a very nostalgic movie for me, because this is one of, if not the first full-length movie I ever saw in my life. As a young kid, I watched stuff like The Wiggles, that sort of thing, but as a full feature-length movie, this is possibly the first one I ever saw. And I actually originally was going to have this as my very first movie review on YouTube because of it, but I pulled back because I wanted to review a more newer movie. And I actually think I might get the chance to review this movie anyway, because the 5th movie is coming out soon, so I might review the whole series in anticipation for the 5th one. But at the moment, this is by far the best one. The first one is I watched it about a year ago or so. It holds up really well. It's actually a really funny movie. It's just a good movie. It's entertaining. If you hate the sequels, give the first one a try again. The first one's a lot better than the other ones. I have a bad feeling about this. The Indiana Jones set. This has got all 4 DVDs. All 4 DVDs. I'll show you. All 4 of them. All 4 Indiana Jones. The Raiders of the Lost Ark. Temple of Doom. Last Crusade. And last but not least, the bonus material. Yep. George Lucas didn't just abandon Steven Spielberg and make any more sequels. It was just those 3 movies and the bonus material. There's no Indiana Jones 4 that exists. Nope, none at all. Inside Out, I've already stated to you several times on my channels that I love this movie, and even though I've made several videos on this movie, I'm not actually done. For starters, I want to redo my review for this movie because I feel like my original review, way back like I did almost a year ago, I feel like I haven't done the movie justice with my original review, so I want to redo it. And I also am working on a full-on analyzed video where I watch the movie and I go through the movie scene by scene and I explain the metaphors and the character development that I have noticed watching the movie, and I just analyze it, and I will make it, and I don't know when it's going to be up because it's taking forever to make. It took forever to write the script, and now that I've got the microphone and I've got a software and everything, I feel ready to make the video, so I will make it eventually, but I can't wait to dive into this movie. It'll be a spoiler-filled video though, I'm warning you, but I'm not done with this movie, trust me. You will still see Inside Out from my channel in the future, because I love this movie! Iron Man, the best one in the trilogy. This is a very, very entertaining movie. The origin's really cool, and I actually got very engaged with the overall story between Tony Stark and Iron Man. Some of the action is really entertaining. It's just a very fun, very entertaining movie. Again, this was way back before Marvel movies got obsessed with being dark and depressing, so yeah, I love this movie. Well, I don't exactly love it, but it's a really good movie. One of the best superhero movies, in my opinion. What year is it? Jumanji. Fantastic movie. I actually have already spoken about this movie on my channel. I did a Battle of the Flick video of Jumanji vs. Sathura. If you want my full thoughts on this movie, go and check that video out, even though it's like half an hour long. But, it's a good movie. It's a really classic. It's an iconic movie. It's a good movie. I got this DVD collection, Hook, Matilda, Jumanji, and I honestly only got this because Jumanji was in it, and I actually got this first, and then I got the other Jumanji copy. It's a complicated story, but again, I explain it in the other video, so if you want more detail on my relationship with Jumanji, then go and watch the other video. Meet the Robinsons. This is a movie that I loved when I first saw it, but that's because I was in that phase where I loved everything I saw. And that was when my brain was still processing, still developing, so I didn't know much about story or characters back then. And overall, I think the movie is okay. Yeah, it's got problems, but it's not one of Disney's best, but there are good things about it. It's okay, I guess you can say. I think it's an okay movie. Megamind. This also used to once be my favorite movie of all time, but I think that was just due to anticipation. But it's still a very funny DreamWorks movie. Maybe they could have had more frequent comedy. I'm not actually even a fan of Will Ferrell, but as Megamind, he is hilarious. Really good movie, really entertaining, really funny. And yeah, that's just all I have to say about it. Great movie. Dun, 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 dun. Dun dun dun. Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible 2. Mission Impossible 3. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. And Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. The entire Mission Impossible set. I love Mission Impossible because I think that they are really entertaining movies with very interesting stories. And the stunts that Tom Cruise does in these movies are awesome. This is the best one. Mission Impossible. Love these movies, and I'm planning on reviewing these as well. I'm planning on reviewing the entire saga. I love all of these movies, so yeah, excellent series. Keep making them. So many movies. Monsters vs. Aliens. Very funny movie. Very funny, very entertaining DreamWorks movie. The entire Mr. Bean collection. Rowan Atkinson still remains as one of the funniest comedians ever because Mr. Bean is just a genius of a TV show. If you are unfamiliar with Mr. Bean, then A, you're living underneath a rock, and B, you need to go and check him out. A lot of the episodes are on YouTube, so type in Mr. Bean, you should find them. Each episode is around like 20 minutes long or so, maybe 40 I believe, but very, very funny show. Love this show. The Polar Express, good Christmas movie. The Prince of Egypt, not DreamWorks' best movie, but there are elements I think are okay about it. Like, it's a good movie overall. Lots of great drama elements between Moses and Ramesses. The fact that Sandra Bullock in this movie, though, the fact that Sandra Bullock is in this movie, it's very distracting in my opinion. Like, whenever I hear her voice in this movie, I think of Sandra Bullock, but I don't let it bother me too much. It's a good movie. And speaking of Sandra Bullock, just stay above 50. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Speed. Love this movie. Again, one of my favorites. It's a fantastic action thriller about a bus and there's a bomb underneath it, and if it goes slower than 50 miles an hour, it explodes. This is one of my favorite action movies of all time. Really, there should be more action movies like this. This is my favorite Keanu Reeves movie. I actually like this more than The Matrix, but very good movie. I love Speed. If you like action movies and you haven't seen this movie, you really need to, because this is a fantastic movie. Speed Racer. Very underrated movie. A lot of people hate this film, but I honestly think it's very enjoyable. I actually didn't expect it having that much dialogue in this movie. I was expecting it to be this little random racing movie when it first came out. But I think it would have been cool if we got that racing sequences more frequent in the movie. But I still really enjoy this movie. Like, I got very engaged with the conflict between the Royaltons and the Racer family. I felt like it was a great, interesting conflict, and I got very engaged with the story as I got older. And so, yeah, it's a CGI green screen fest, kind of like the Star Wars prequels, but I still really love this movie. It's a very enjoyable movie, and it's very underrated. I love this movie, actually. I think it's a good movie. The Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. I got 1, 2, and 3, along with a second copy of Spider-Man 3. Why do I have 2 copies of Spider-Man 3? Long story short, I asked for the first one for Christmas back in 2010, and because I loved the first movie, but I accidentally got the third one instead. And then about a year later, I got the entire trilogy set because it was the only one that the person who got it for me could find. So I have the entire trilogy and Spider-Man 3. But I don't care because I honestly think that Spider-Man 3 is very underrated. Like, yeah, there are problems with Spider-Man 3, like too many villains and the emo Peter scenes, but it's an underrated movie. I actually really like Spider-Man 3, to be honest, and I will explain a bit in my review because I'm planning on reviewing this movie soon. Ba 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 ba. Star Wars the set. Okay, that was awful, but yeah, the entire Star Wars set on Blu-ray. I got the prequels of Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, and of course, the original trilogy. Unfortunately, it's a special edition. As a movie enthusiast, of course I own these movies. These are fantastic movies. Well, 3 of them at least. Of course, as a movie enthusiast, these are must-own movies. So of course I have the Star Wars movies, especially on Blu-ray. I love these movies. These are all fantastic movies. Well, 3 of them at least. So yeah, great movies. Alright. Superman the movie. Superman 2. Superman 3. And Superman Returns. I don't have the 4 Quest for Peace. Do you blame me? These are very iconic movies. These are classics. Of course I own these. 3 was just a Christmas present for 2010. And I got Superman Returns because I think it's a very underrated movie. It's one of my favorite Superman movies, actually. Very underrated. I don't get why people hate this movie. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. The Terminator quadrilogy. The Terminator, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Terminator 3 Rise of Machines, Terminator Salvation, and Terminator Genesis. I've got the entire Terminator set, and I love these movies, even though some of them are rather iffy, like 3 Rise of Machines and Genesis. I have problems with them, but movies like the original and Judgment Day are very iconic. Terminator 2 Judgment Day is actually my second favorite movie of all time. Love Terminator 2. So, huge Terminator fan. I love Terminator. Alright guys, we're almost there. Toy Story. Toy Story 2. Toy Story 3. Iconic trilogy, of course. Great films to show your kids. Iconic trilogy. Ultimate Avengers 2. This movie is mediocre, in my opinion. Someone gave this to me as a Christmas present, mistaking this for the original actual Avengers movie. But I don't mind. I've seen this movie once, and it's okay. It's an alright movie. And finally, last but not least, Sathura. Ugh. This is a underrated movie. I don't get why people hate this movie either. In fact, it did better on Rotten Tomatoes than Jumanji did, actually. Underrated movie. I actually really like this movie. Again, watch the Battle of the Fleet video for more information. And that's it. Those are all of my DVDs and Blu-Rays. Thank you all for watching. Whatever your collection is, like what are your DVDs and Blu-rays? Please tell me in the comments below. Do you get DVDs and Blu-rays, or do you just get DVDs? Do you just do Blu-rays, or what? Please tell me in the comments below. That is my entire collection. This video was exhausting to make, but worth it. So, these are my DVDs and Blu-ray. Hasta la vista, baby.